Hello everyone, my name is Jonas and I'm an environmental science student at the University of Western Australia with a passion for the unique flora and fauna found in this country. Sadly, we find ourselves in a time when many of these species have been negatively affected by anthropogenic processes, leading to reductions in population size and range. Consequently, Australia has a remarkable number of species that are listed as threatened on the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation list of threatened species. To mitigate the loss of species, Australia has introduced legislation that made a requirement for all species found on the threatened species list have a recovery plan or conservation advice written up and implemented in an attempt to aid their recovery. As I said before, I care about native Australian plants and animals, and I therefore want to be sure that the current measures being taken to protect them are effective. In this video, I will present information on the strengths and weaknesses of recovery planning in Australia and how it has evolved over time and where it is going into the future. So, to start off, how much does Australia spend on conservation activities? Well, according to the Department of the Environment, Water, Heritage and the Arts, from the years 1992 to 2008, $2.5 billion was spent on such actions. For such a large sum of money, you would expect that conservation of all threatened species in Australia would be effective. However, you would be wrong to assume this. A study conducted by Bottrell et al. In 2011 analysed 600 recovery plans to determine whether or not they were effective at improving the status of a threatened species. Sadly, they found that the presence or absence of a recovery plan had no statistical effect on changing the status of a species. This suggested that recovery plans may not actually be that useful in protecting species in the short term and creates uncertainty for the long term as well. Furthermore, a study conducted by Westwood et al. Found that recovery plans exhibited low success rates as a direct result of a poor understanding of the concepts of recovery and recovered state. This lack of clarity makes it difficult to evaluate if a recovery plan is effective before it's even started, highlighting an area that needs more consideration. However, on a more positive note, a study by Martin et al. Found that few species with stable or recovering populations were found within strictly protected areas that had some form of recovery efforts in place. In 2008, the government was spending 10% of the conservation budget on the expansion of these protected areas. And although this isn't much, it is still good to know that some of the money is being spent on an area that is proven to be effective for threatened species recovery. As conservation is a relatively new science, it is constantly evolving as our knowledge of the topic grows. This means that recovery plans have also evolved with our greater understanding of conservation to make them more effective. This can be seen through the advancement in complexity of recovery plans, which started out targeting single species but changed to multi-species and ecosystem approaches. Although both Bottrell et al. And Westwood et al. Found that recovery planning is still mostly ineffective, both suggested that with a better system for evaluation and reporting of current plans, it will become easier to identify positive and negative components of the plan, allowing for more efficient spending. A report by Martin et al. In 2011 put forth that the most effective strategy would be to have a national framework for recovery plan creation, reporting and evaluation. This would make recovery plans consistent across all of Australia and would satisfy the points raised by both Bottrell et al. And Westwood et al., making for a more effective conservation of threatened species. In conclusion, recovery planning in Australia isn't currently effective at conserving threatened species. However, there are positive signs as many people are putting forth ideas to make recovery plans more effective and cost efficient, such as the national framework suggested by Martin et al.